All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle. Two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Well, is the 49er quarterback competition over before it even begins? That question has to be asked. There's been a couple of stories out here in the last 24 hours that are kind of interesting. One was Marty Morningweg did an interview with a doctor who believes that Brock Purdy is likely to return to full form after his surgery. The 49ers have only said that they're incredibly encouraged by what they've seen thus far from Brock Purdy. But that was a real positive as well to hear that at least some doctors believe that the nature of the surgery that he had means that he'll return at without any loss of arm talent, velocity, accuracy, so on and so forth. Now, the other story that's out today, and that's NBC Sports' Matt Mayoko wrote today on their website, that there won't be much of a quarterback competition. He says, realistically, if Brock Purdy's ready to play football when the season rolls around, it will be his job. And if his road to a full recovery stays true to the 12-week timeline, Brock Purdy would receive full medical clearance to play football around August 21st, which would be roughly 3 weeks before the start of the NFL season. And Matt is speculating that there virtually will be no way for any of the other quarterbacks to take the job away from Purdy based solely on practices, because Purdy did it in games and did it in playoff games. So you can sit there and say that Sam Darnold, is a human jugs gun and throws like, an all-pro quarterback. And you can say that Trey Lance has a stronger arm than Brock Purdy and is more of a downfield threat than Brock Purdy. And both these guys have better arms. But if the 49ers are going to give Brock the starting job based on what he did last year, then there is no real competition. And even if those guys absolutely light it up in practice and are phenomenal in the preseason, it doesn't seem like there's any way that Sam Darnold would win the starting job or that Trey Lance would win the starting job. Now, Brock Purdy's got great intangibles. We know they're off the charts. He's a leader. And yet, we don't know exactly what he's going to look like, but they do, right? Because they've been looking at him throw. They've got a much better handle on, is he experiencing pain? Is he the same player that he was a year ago? Is he as accurate as he was a year ago? My only question is about the actual strength of the arm, because there's no doubt that any quarterback in a system as complex as Kyle Shanahan's is going to improve from year one to year two. And that's where Brock Purdy is. So there should be a significant improvement in Brock's knowledge of the offense, knowledge of his receivers, and all the nuances and intricacies of playing quarterback in this system. He's going to be worlds better just because he's doing it now the second time around. And I asked him at the OTAs a couple of weeks ago, I said, where are you now compared to where you were last year at this time? And he's like, oh, night and day. It's night and day. Why? Because he knows the offense. He knows all the plays. He knows the formations. He knows he's operated different game plans. He's seen Kyle's tendencies as a play caller. He's thrown to Debo. He's thrown to Ayuk. He's worked with all these weapons. Heck, you could make an argument that Brock Purdy to George Kittle was one of the most unstoppable combinations in pro football down the stretch. So Purdy, is getting better as long as he hasn't lost arm talent, as long as he hasn't lost arm strength, accuracy, the touch and the timing, those are things that are going to improve. It's just a matter of, would he lose arm strength? Would he lose zip? Can he still throw the deep out? Can he still put it in the tight window? Can he throw the deep out from the far hash? And get it out there and put it in a very small window and get it out there with enough zip to elude the defensive back. And that's really what we're talking about. Has he lost any ability to throw? So if you believe that, he hasn't, or if John Lynch is right saying that, he's progressing nicely and they like what they see, then maybe they've seen enough of the arm strength. And if he's going to be out there and he's fully recovered, and now you also have Sam Darnold sitting here, who would be a high level number 2. You've got Brandon Allen sitting here, who was Joe Burrow's number 2, and now he's slated as a number 3 on this team. And now you're picking up Jack Cohn to be a camp arm / a practice squad guy. Is there even going to be a competition? Are we even going to see Trey Lance go through a competition, or is he going to be moved on? I mean, I think the idea of that worries a lot of people because the Niners went through, they needed 5 quarterbacks to navigate their system at the end of the year. They had last we saw the Niners on the field in a real game, Christian McCaffrey was switching helmets and attempting to put on a quarterback helmet and play quarterback. So that always worries you about parting ways with any quarterback. But it doesn't sound like, I think the rest of us are kind of geared up for, man, this is going to be a competition. And I've been asking this question for several weeks now. At the end of the day, what do you believe? Do you believe that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch want a knockdown, drag out Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy quarterback competition where they roll the balls out there and we'll just see who's the best? Or do you think they want a clear pecking order and no competition where Brock's your clear 1, Sam's your clear 2, Brandon Allen's your clear 3, and maybe Jack Cohn is your practice squad clear number 4? And to me, I think that is preferable to this competition with Trey Lance, because the Trey Lance competition, I think, only really is a positive for the team if it's clear, if either Trey's clearly better than Brock, or if Darnold's clearly better than the other 2, or if Purdy's clearly better than the other 2. It works if there's a clear-cut winner and a clear-cut second-place guy. It doesn't work as well if it's just Monday, Trey looked better. Tuesday, Brock looked better. Wednesday, Darnold looked better. Thursday, Trey looked really good, but Brock also looked good. Friday, Darnold looked the best, but Trey didn't look good. Brock looked great. I mean, are we going to have a day-to-day, every day, let's evaluate who looked the best, who looked the second best, who looked the third best? Are we going to have a day-to-day who completed the highest percentage, how many drops, what's the drop percentage, how many fumbles, is that on the quarterback, is that on the center? How many, I mean, are we going to have a legitimate competition where the job is open and you got 3 guys, maybe even 4 guys competing for it? Or is that what they want? Or do they want a clear delineation where Brock's your clear 1 and maybe there's a competition between Allen and Darnold for number 2? That wouldn't surprise me either. I think Allen's looked really, really good at times. I mean, he's had 2 or 3 throws that were as good as any throw I've seen out there on the practice field this summer. So, maybe Brandon Allen has shown a lot, and maybe they feel like Brandon Allen can compete with Sam Darnold. And maybe they're, I don't know. I'm not sure how this is all going to shake out, but it looks like this competition that we're all waiting for between Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, or Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, or Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. It almost sounds like we're not going to get it. It almost is starting to sound like we're not going to get this incredible competition that we think we're going to get, and just not the way they're going to go about things. It's going to be interesting. We'll know for sure definitively in the weeks ahead, but keep it tuned. Keep it tuned right here on the Krug Show, because we don't know. But right now, if you're absolutely expecting a Brock Purdy, Trey Lance quarterback battle, doesn't sound like we're going to see it. It sounds like the 49ers want to anoint Brock Purdy based on his play last year as the number 1 guy. And my guess is that they want to clear out room for Brock, and they don't want a day-to-day, let's ask every player in the locker room. Let's ask every player that comes to the podium, what'd you think of this guy? What'd you think of that guy? And then what if one wide receiver says, you know what? I kind of think Brandon Allen's the best quarterback we got. You know what? Sam Darnold is throwing the ball like nobody I've ever seen. I mean, all it's going to take is one quote like that. hey, you know what? I think Trey's got the most upside of any quarterback on this team. I mean, all it's going to take is one quote like that, and suddenly this story has a life of its own, legs of its own, becomes a big controversy, maybe a distraction. It's going to be very interesting to see. I talked about this several weeks ago. You know, do the Niners want a real open competition with all these guys battling, or do they want a clear-cut quarterback room with Brock as the number one? And I said that I think they want the clear-cut quarterback room with Brock as the number one over the competition. But we're going to find out. You know, we're going to find out, and we're going to find out in a short amount of time. All right, hope you enjoyed our 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin, Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And thanks to all of you for checking out and supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.